Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new around here then hello, my name is Sarah-Jayne. I am mum to one little girl called Ella and she is currently 8 months old. I make videos documenting my journey to motherhood because I am a new mum. I also do cleaning videos, hauls, all different things like that. So if you like that kind of thing then make sure you click that subscribe button and stick around for a while. And if you are already subscribed, make sure you click that bell button and you will be notified of when my new videos go live. So today I'm doing a video all about breastfeeding to bottle feeding, making that transition. And I realise that it has been quite a while since I have done this myself, but this is a video that I really wanted to film and have wanted to film for a while. It's just taken till now to get round to it. So basically I breastfed my little girl until she was 4 weeks old, and then I transferred onto bottle feeding. I'm not going to go too much into my particular story just because I think it's kind of irrelevant and I have talked about it in past videos, but basically I came to the decision that I was going to move on to bottle feeding. It wasn't something that I particularly wanted to do but felt like it was the best thing to do. And if you are in the same position at the moment, then if you're anything like I was, you are feeling so guilty, you are wondering if it's the best thing to do, you're feeling a lot of pressure, and I even cried when I gave Ella her first formula bottle. So just know that you are not alone in this. Many people have to go through it. Whatever your reasons, they are your reasons and you don't have to explain yourself to anybody. So basically what I'm going to go through is a few hints and tips today, because I know that when I was going through it I was very confused of what to do, how to make that transfer from going from breast to bottle, and then what to do with formula feeding, because I had no clue what to do. So hopefully this video will help you out a little bit today. So first of all, don't feel pressured. I've already talked about this already. Whatever your reasons are from going from breastfeeding to formula feeding, they are your reasons, and don't let anybody's opinions affect how you're feeling, because you're already putting so much pressure on yourself already. So whatever your reason, it's okay. We've all heard the term breast is best, but honestly, fed is best. If you are feeding your baby, that is the main thing. It doesn't matter how you are doing it. So first of all, I'm going to talk about actually stopping breastfeeding, because I'm sure your boobs are very full at the moment. They drip every time you don't have a bra on, every time you go in the shower. Yes, I remember that feeling, wow. And you kind of think, how is this ever going to stop? Now for me personally, it took a couple of weeks for the milk to actually dry up. So just bear that in mind when you do stop breastfeeding. What you don't want to do is just stop completely, because that's really not very good for you. I actually got mastitis, so if I'd have done that, it would have made it even worse. But if you do just stop and don't express, then again you could develop mastitis and it would be extremely painful. So what you actually want to do is just start expressing that milk away, and I would probably just gradually cut down over a few days, and then you'll find after a couple of weeks that it will eventually stop. So for example, I would just take the normal amount out the first time, the next day I would take out a little bit less, the next day I would take out less, and kind of just gradually make it less and less each day, because we all know that your breasts will produce enough milk for your baby. So if your baby's suckling more and wanting more, your breasts will produce more. So if you just cut it down, then gradually they will go the other way and will start producing less. So yes, it can be a pain, but you will get there and eventually you won't have to wear breast pads. So now onto the formula side of things, and if you were anything like me, I didn't do a huge amount of research into formula and bottles because I was so determined to breastfeed. So I had to do this kind of after, and I had to learn really quickly. So hopefully this is going to be a little bit of benefit for you as well. So you want to think about what kind of bottles you want to use. Now first of all, I use the Tommy Tippy ones, and Ella really didn't seem to like these. I think she just got too much all at one go, and she just wasn't getting on with them very well at all. So I actually switched to these MAM bottles, and I found these so good. First of all, I got the smaller ones, and then eventually when she was taking more formula, I went on to the larger ones, which is the ones that you can see now. But these are so good. They are actually anti-colic, so they help to reduce the amount of air that your baby is going to drink as they are taking down their feed. But you can get other ones like this as well. I just particularly like these ones because they also have the self-sterilising facility. So if you are out and about and you need to sterilise a bottle, you can actually just sterilise it in a microwave with just the bottle itself and a little bit of water. So do your research on which bottles are available where you are and what kind of thing you want, but I would definitely recommend one which is anti-colic, and that will just help prevent your baby from taking down too much air. So of course you're going to have to sterilise your bottles. I have talked about those MAM bottles which you can self-sterilise in the microwave, but even though you can self-sterilise them, I still have a steriliser. So they do recommend that you sterilise your bottles up to 6 months if you're breastfeeding and up to a year if you are formula feeding. So I still sterilise Ella's bottles at the moment, and I have this MAM steriliser. I did have the Tommy Tippy steriliser as well, but I was actually gifted the MAM steriliser and I really liked it. I think I just preferred that one over the other, but they both do the same job. And I just found that if I sterilised these at the end of the day, ready for the next day, that made my life so much easier, and I still get into the habit of doing that now. While we're still talking about bottles, I also want to talk about the teats that you get for them. So they are actually interchangeable, which I didn't realise when I first started bottle feeding. So you can start off for one which is good for a newborn, and then I think it goes from 0 and then 1, 2, 3, etc. Ella is actually still on teat number 2, so it just means that less milk comes out, and then the higher the number, the more milk that will come out at the same time. I did try going up to the next one, but she just kind of gets a bit in a muddle and she doesn't really like it. So they will give you guidelines on what age to change them, but you've just got to do whatever you think is best for your baby because they are all different. And as I say, Ella is still on the number 2, whereas I know babies of the same age who are on number 3. So let's talk about formulas themselves. I actually use Hip Organic, which I really recommend, and I was recommended that by a few different friends as well. But when I decided to move on to formula, I was really confused of what to use. There are so many different brands on the market, and I just kind of went through recommendation. So I would also recommend Hip Organic because Ella has taken to it fine. We did try another one at the beginning, I think it was Aptamel, but she just found it quite thick and she didn't particularly like it. Just do your research a little bit and then go ahead and choose one, and once you find one that you like, try and stick to it. You don't want to be changing it too often. And with formulas you have like the first milk and then it turns into follow-on milk, so just make sure that you're picking up the right one for your age baby. So in terms of amounts that you will need, you can look at the age range and the weight of your baby on the back, and it kind of gives you a guide. However, I will say this is just a guide. You don't want to be sticking to that too much. I remember when Ella was guzzling down her bottles and she would kind of cry at the end of them, I kind of knew that she needed more milk, but I was really hesitant because the box said that she should have this amount. So just take that as a guide. So you will need to increase your baby's feeds as they get older, and as I've spoke about, don't always go by what's on the formula. tin or package. You want to be looking for things like, is your baby finishing the full bottle? Is your baby crying after they've finished the bottle, almost like they want more? So they're the kind of things that you want to look for, and you might want to go up an ounce. So I think at one point Ella was having 8-ounce bottles 4 times a day, but now she's dropped a little bit as she's getting older and I'm starting to wean her. So just use your gut and use your baby's cues. Also, it is really normal for your baby to have a little bit more before they go to bed, so they might have an extra ounce or an extra 2 ounces, and you also might find that the same in the morning as well. My baby actually has 4 bottles throughout the day: 7 AM, 11 AM, 3 PM and 7 PM, and she's been that way for quite a while, but you might actually have smaller amounts but more throughout the day and night. Again, it's going to be different for every baby. When it comes to preparing your bottles, this is one of the things that I was really confused by. Now, of course, you can go through the old school way, which is boiling the kettle, putting it in your bottle, adding the formula and then letting it cool down, or running it under cold water to let it cool down. But let's face it, in the middle of the night or when your baby is crying because they are hungry, nobody wants to be standing around for 10-15 minutes with a crying baby. So I actually found the Tommee Tippee Perfect Prep an absolute lifesaver. It is so good. I would recommend it to anybody who is formula feeding, and I just use that and it creates your bottle to the perfect temperature. Now, when it comes to being out and about, obviously if you know that you're going to be feeding your baby within half an hour, you could make up that bottle and then pop it in a holder to keep it a little bit warmer. But if you know that you're going to be out for a couple of hours before your baby needs a feed, what I tend to do is fill up the bottle using the Tommee Tippee machine, but do an ounce less than you normally would, and put your formula into a formula holder, so that's all ready, and then put that bottle into your holder. And then I also take a flask and fill that with some boiling water, and when it comes to actually mixing up your formula, I take the water that you've already prepared, I put the hot water in, that extra ounce, and then put the formula in and shake it up, and again it's at the perfect temperature. So it's just a really good solution to not having to wait around for too long, so that your bottle is ready. So they are my tips from going from breastfeeding to formula feeding. I hope that you found it helpful. I would love it if you leave some comments below if you have any extra tips, and just, you know, generally have a conversation with other people going through this as well, because I know how hard it can be to make that transition. But thank you so much for watching. If you did like this video, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you share it with other parents who might be going through the same thing. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you again next time. Bye!